Hey, it's Danny Brown with The Deal. How you guys doing? Today's guest is my boy from college. Played ball together at USC, Geoff Jenkins. Geoff Jenkins, second all-time in SC baseball with home runs, only behind Mark McGwire. He had 45 home runs. Went on to a first-round draft pick, 9th pick by the Brewers. He's in the Brewers Walk of Fame. Sorry, Brewers, my Dodgers knocked you out, but that's okay. Geoff gets that. Played a long career in the major leagues, won a World Series with the Phillies. All-around great guy, always been so down-to-earth. Such a cool, level-headed guy. Again, legendary SC. People ask me what happened to my baseball career when I went to SC and I was on the bench. Well, there was 9 or 10 guys that made the big leagues, and we get into it. We talk about that. That team was sick, and we had big leaguers sitting on the bench on that team. We lost the national championship to Fullerton. Mark Kotze, we get into that. Anyways, this is a great episode about life after baseball, life how it was in baseball, travel ball, grinding it out in the minor leagues, all that sort of stuff. You can find Geoff at Jeffrey Jenks on Instagram or at F45 Gyms. They're blowing up, and he's running those in Scottsdale. Anyway, enjoy this as much as I enjoyed it, and it's World Series week, so let's go Dodgers. Let's make this happen. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to The Deal with Danny Brown. I have a very special guest, USC baseball legend and my boy from college, Geoff Jenkins. What's up, Jank? How you doing, baby?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
I should say Milwaukee Brewers legend, too. I was hoping we'd be able to chat a little Dodgers, Brewers, but, you guys got swept. But, maybe if they had you in the lineup, they would have lasted a little longer.
You have to lead with that, huh?
I had to lead. So just a little background. Jenkins and I went to SC together. We played ball together under Gillespie. Rest in peace, Skip. Jenk's always been one of the greatest guys from college on. Had a solid college career, legendary career, first-round pick. Went on to the Brewers and World Series with the Phillies. You were at the pool a minute ago, but we had to switch it up to the Zoom. But I still saw some jerseys on the wall. Anyways, how are things going, Jank? Tell me what's going on these days.
Man, everything's great. Just like everybody, we're all trying to work through these crazy times. But I actually got into a business venture of F45 training. I opened up 2 franchises, and we're going to open up our 3rd in next year, probably in January. So that's where I came from working out today before the meeting. And it's been really fun. It's been really fun to, baseball was always something I did kind of naturally and had fun with it and worked hard at it. But in the afterlife, it's really rewarding, especially as an athlete. We hear about all these tough stories of athletes losing all their money, but I think I went into this franchising business, and it's been very rewarding. It's been a learning experience, and but it's something that I felt was an investment in myself to stay in shape, but also I feel like I'm giving back to my community by keeping them in shape as well. So it's been real rewarding and something that I've had fun doing.
Right. Would you say, so the F45, just so people don't know, it's you'll tell me more about it, but it's like a succinct 45-minute training, getting done quick. Is it also like holistic in terms of diet and health program and all of it tied together?
So we have our trainers that we have involved. We'll do, Instagram posts and different things on the nutrition part. But we do have our little 45-minute workouts. It stands for Functional 45. It's HIIT training, interval training. You hear a lot about interval training now. So it is in that genre, if you will. But it's just a real popular. Mark Wahlberg has gotten behind the brand. He's been involved now for the last couple of years and really blown it up. You've probably seen a lot of that stuff with him. So it's definitely spreading across the world right now. And it's kind of that next, I hate to say it, but it's kind of that next Orange Theory-ish type deal, but a better workout, I believe.
So let's get into the Geoff Jenkins history. For those that don't know, everyone knows you as a big leaguer and this and that, but talk to me about where you grew up and at what point did baseball become something serious and something where you felt, wow, there's something special here. I know you had an older brother and get to that kind of growing up playing baseball and when it went from having a little fun to, oh, wow, I may be on a trajectory here.
Well, like any younger brother, it was pretty awesome to have an older brother that broke the California state record for hits in high school. So we grew up in Sacramento, went to a high school, Rancho Cordova, And my brother he was a stud. He was all city, all everything. Ended up getting a full ride scholarship to the University of Southern California.
Wait.
So yeah, there we go.
There you go. I'm representing.
I love it. So he went there and ended up being a 2-time All-American or whatever, and had just an awesome career, went into pro ball. But more than anything, as a young kid, to have that to look up to and to emulate, and to learn the work ethic part, and what really goes into, not just becoming a high school athlete, but if you have aspirations of moving on, and the schoolwork part is a big part of it too. If you don't get good grades, you're not going to be on the field and you're not going to be playing. So really, it was just awesome to have this person I could watch and be like, okay, if I do it like that, like I can move on and play better. So your question was kind of like, when did I know? I think I knew I had something when I first got to USC, and we were this is a great Mike Gillespie story. So like any good, coach, I don't call it pick on, but you choose certain guys that you can be hard on and show the rest of the team that, I'm treating the best players on the team the toughest way. And so you guys need to fall in and act the same. So we go through the whole year, and Gillespie's riding me hard. And to the point where about mid-season, I told my dad, I'm like, gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish here. Like, this guy is just riding me. He goes, son, you got to just, he's probably doing it because he wants you to play better and, be one of the guys and whatever. So anyway, fast forward to the end of the season, we go to play Texas in the regional, and I'm facing a guy, Brooks Kieschnick, and he's their best pitcher. And I line out with 2 outs in the last inning. They diving catch, and the series is over, and we don't go to Omaha. But moral of the story is Gillespie comes up to me and puts his arm around me, and he goes, hey, you're one of my guys now. And from that point forward, I walked on water. So It was just the story behind that is, if you're a young kid, you got to there's adversity, and like it comes at you fast. It could be in the form of it could be a family member. It could be a coach. When you get older into professional ball, it could be a front office person, but you have to push through it. Like, you can't quit, and you have to have some fortitude and the ability to, say, okay, this is a problem, but how do I get through this, and how do I get better because of this? And at the end of the day, become a better player. So it's a great story. It's one of the things I think that built me up and made me stronger as a player.
Well, I'll interject and say I knew you were a special player at SC because I was joking with you earlier. I always joke that you're the one that put me into early retirement. Everyone that wondered what happened to me when I went to SC, I'm like, well, Geoff Jenkins was there, Jock Jones, Aaron Boone. Like, first day of batting practice, I think I launched 1 or 2 bombs. I'm like feeling good. And you stepped up as a freshman lefty and launched like 10 in a row into the parking structure with a launch angle that's legendary. To this day, people are trying to replicate that launch angle. So I remember that. And you were 17, 18 years old, hitting absolute bombs. And I'd played with a lot of good players, and I'd never seen that swing like that. And you were telling me, funny enough, when you got to the big leagues, everyone was telling you can't swing, you can't uppercut like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, by the way, I had some Hall of Fame hitting coaches. I mean, I had Rod Carew, I had Gary Matthews, I had Butch Weiniger, I had, I had some amazing hitting coaches. Jim Lefevre was probably the best. Anyway, but yes, and it really wasn't so much the hitting coaches, but you're getting pressure from the top down, like, wow, he's got too much lift in his swing. And, you'd roll over on a ground ball here or there, and you have a little top spin lob in the outfield or whatever. But now, with all the analytics now, if you hit the ball on the ground, you're out. And that's what they say because of the shifting and all the stuff. So they're like, they want you to hit everything in the air, and they don't care. They figure it has a better chance to fly out of the ballpark because of the quote unquote, maybe juice ball. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I was ahead of my time, and I basically just needed to be born about 12 to 13 years later.
Well, you, interesting enough, I was just looking it up. I knew you were high up on the record. You had 45 college home runs, only second to Mark McGuire at USC. That's pretty impressive. You had 220 or 30 home runs in the big leagues, World Series champion. Anyway, so your bat took you a far way. I'd love to get your perspective if we now take it back to sort of being a parent, being a dad, having kids playing, seeing youth baseball. This comes up a lot as a parent myself. What is your take on these youth baseball, these travel teams pushing kids even at the age of 6 and 7? From a big ex-big leaguer, someone who's been at the highest level, I'd love to get your perspective on that.
Well, I think the first part of it is I think you need to remember that sports are fun, especially for the, they should be fun for your whole life, let alone for the youth ages. But I think the first thing you need to do as a parent is let your kid grow, get stronger, build muscle. We've seen the things that have happened in football because of concussions and maybe just not being mature enough to deal with certain hits and all that stuff. But in baseball, I'm not against the travel team thing. I see the value in, getting better competition for your son or your daughter, for that matter, in softball. I do see the value in that, but I think one thing that I've seen now that I've been in it now for a couple of years is I've seen, we've played in games, and I mean these coaches and parents think it's Game 7 of the World Series in these tournaments, and what I've come to find is you have a kid that's throwing these innings in these tournaments back to back to back weekends sometimes, and they're going to play on these other teams midweek, and so they might be pitching more. So the kid's never going to tell you they can't do it. They're going to be like, oh, if I'm a good pitcher, like I just want to pitch, and then all of a sudden he's having Tommy John at 12 years old or 11 years old. So I just think as a parent, if your kid's going to be good enough, it's not going to be because they played 100 games as a youth in a travel baseball league. It will not. And by the way, it's super expensive too. So it hits the pocketbooks of these parents too. So I do think there's a happy medium of being on a travel team, which I am doing now. I finally did it at 10 years old. I started doing it for Justice, which I think is a really good sweet spot to get it going mentally, to be able to go through these tournaments. We're in Arizona. It's a lot hotter. So to play in these 2 and 3 tournaments a month is just not very conducive to the athlete. So to finish, I would just say, play on a travel team. Don't do it too early. Let the kids let them play Little League. Let them have fun. Make the game fun for them. And just remember as a parent, it's not about you. It's about the kid. Let the kids play. Let them have fun and let them grow and let it kind of be organic versus like you're forcing a bunch of games down their throat.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hear that a lot from people like yourself. Hey, look, you got to balance it and be careful because it could hurt the kid. And the reality is, the odds of a few of those kids on any team maybe make it to college. Maybe one will squeak by and get drafted. Maybe. So it's like to treat it like it's Game 7 and to put their bodies through that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But that's
and by the way, and that's a great point. Listen. I remember being I played wiffle ball with my brother when I was, 5, 6 years old. And we would pretend, we were Don Mattingly or Tony Gwynn or Fred McGriff in Game 5 or whatever of the World Series. And little did I know, I ended up being in Game 5 of the World Series, coming up in the, to get a monster hit for my team. And we ended up winning a World Series. So that, when I say all that stuff, it's not to like break down the dreams of a young kid trying to be a Major League Baseball player, or for that matter, go on to college. It's more about just having some perspective about how to get there, and not making the dream about yourself versus your child. So I think that's more what I'm speaking to versus I'm not trying to say like, oh my God, you have zero chance to go on and play baseball. I'm just saying do it the correct way.
Yeah. Good point. All right, so let me rewind a little and get back into your baseball career. You were drafted first round out of SC, 9th pick. Ooh, lost the national championship. That was painful. That hurt. Fullerton. God damn.
Well, I'll give you if you want a great story about that. So
it still hurts.
We're playing Fullerton.
It was crushing them all.
I know. Well, we have a meeting before the game. We're playing Fullerton. They have this decent player, Mark Kotze. So he was their all-world player, and he was their closer as well. And so before the game, Gillespie is going down the line of the pitchers. We do not pitch to Mark Kotze. We drill him. We pitch around him. We, whatever. We don't. This guy will not beat us today. Yes. First inning, bomb. Right. Third inning, bomb. I'm like,
what happened?
Was I not in the room? I mean,
just tip your hat, Conte, man. Jesus Christ, that guy was a beast.
I know. and they end up closing the game down on us too. But it sucked because, we had Gillespie knew exactly what he wanted to do. It was like Belichick trying to shut down the best receiver on the team, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do. We just didn't execute. And for a team that basically executed
everything
precisely all year. So, at the end of the day, tip your cap to Kotze. He was an awesome player. He won the Golden Spikes, that year. So.
Yeah, but think of that team. Why don't you talk a little bit about that team that year at SC, the guys that were there with Booney and on and on and on.
That actually, Booney left the year before. He wasn't good enough to be on our team that year.
Right.
He had to leave. But off that final team in 95, we had 9 guys go on to play in the big leagues from that team. Matter of fact, Morgan Ensberg couldn't even play. He was on the bench. We had Bobby Kilty
on the bench at SC. People ask why.
Bobby Kilty was in the bullpen.
Yeah,
remember? But we had Randy Flores
on the bench on that team.
Yeah, Flores, Seth Etherton, Brian Cooper, myself, Gabe
Alvarez,
Jock,
Jones. I mean, I don't know. It's like an all-star.
Chad Moeller.
God.
I mean, it was like Murder's Row, right? So,
I didn't have a chance. I didn't have a chance. I should have gone to some Delaware State or somewhere small where I could have batted fourth and launch angled myself. Should have gone to Colorado College or something. So tell me, this is what I want to get at. You go coming through a big time USC college program, playing in the Pac-12 now with all the facilities, all the training, the parties, the fun, the girl. Now you get drafted, even though you're a first rounder, which means you're elite and you get a bonus. You are going on to play in the minor leagues. No one in baseball goes to the big leagues. So what was the minor league experience like for those kids and those people that have this dream? What's the reality check of the grueling grind of minor league life?
Well, I think grueling is probably the correct word. I got drafted and I was took a little bit to sign, but when I went to Helena, Montana, and I'm not sure if you've ever been to Helena, Montana. But there's not a whole lot going on. And so at the stadium, I'll never forget I was hitting and my first at bat night game, and there's like three light bulbs in the light standards. And we have triple the better lights at USC than this field does. And this is like they're trying to train for major league athletes. And but that's part of the perseverance is, are you gonna sit there and complain? Or are you going to just be like, okay, I got to deal with this like everyone else and I got to get through it and I got to move on. But I will tell you this, every day I woke up, I was like, I got to get the heck out of here. I got to get to the next stadium so I get better lights, I get better food, I get better pay. So
walk me through, where'd you go next? Where was single? That was rookie ball and where was?
Yeah, so I got lucky. Actually, I only played in Helena, I believe, for 2 weeks. And they probably just planned to get my feet wet. And then I went to Stockton. So I played in Stockton the rest of the year, and then they brought me up, I believe, for the playoffs in AA. So I kind of hit 3 levels in that first year, and then went back to AA the next year, and then the AAA the next year. So I went, I went Helena, Stockton, El Paso, back to El Paso, I believe. Then I got to Louisville. To Tucson, and then the next year I went to Louisville for the first 6 weeks, and then I got called up.
Nice. So what was that like getting called up? You were what, 21, 22? No, you were probably.
I was actually 20 when I signed because I remember having my 21st birthday, and I might have got overserved a little bit in Helena by my teammates, and I woke up with some shaving cream on my hand. So yeah, in the training room because I was Tommy needs sleepy.
Funny. So you get called up. You get called up with the big club, the Brewers. You end up playing there for 9-10 years, and then Phillies. Any fun stories or lessons that stand out through your time with the Brewers, maybe as a rookie or any time? Just any fun stories you could share. What it's like being a rookie big leaguer and getting to the show, and what's that really like?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest lessons about becoming a major leaguer is you find out real fast, and I talk to all my young kids about it, not just on my team, but just anybody that talks to me about baseball. about the having a routine. Anything in life, like, and it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in. Everybody's got a routine, and that goes from the time you wake up until the time you go to sleep. And being a major leaguer, because of how many games you play, you have to have this routine, and routine adds structure. And if you have structure, you have consistency. And if you have consistency, you put up statistics. And if you have statistics, you're playing every day, and you're going to be part of the team for a long time. So I think at the core basis of every great player, if you sat them down and you just said, hey, John, what's your routine? I mean, they would go boom, right? From the time you get to the field and you eat to you go to look at video, you go hit in the cage, batting practice, you're doing the crossword or playing a game, you're stretching, you're foam rolling, and then all the way through the early part of the game when you're running your sprints. And then you just go be an athlete and you play the game. And you let the chips fall because you've had all your preparation, your routine has set you for success, and then you just go do it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen every night. You go out there and you strike out 5 times off Verlander and get no hit like we did, or you can go 5 for 5 with 2 homers off guys. But what you do is the consistency on the daily basis comes from routine, and I think that if you could teach everybody about that, the young kids. It sets them up for success.
Yeah, that's a wonderful, wonderful theme. We talk about that a lot on this, the routines and structures of successful people in any walk of life. It's very easy to visualize athletes and their routines, but it's that preparation for whatever you're going to do in life. Doesn't matter if you're a school teacher, real estate agent, athlete, finance, doctor, preparing from the moment you wake up all day long. And it sets you up. It's the foundation for success. And it, again,
yes.
Like I said, doesn't mean you're going to succeed. I mean, as you know, you're going to fail 70% of the time if you're a Hall of Famer in baseball. But in life in general, you got to be able to deal with failure and rejection and be strong and have mental toughness. And that's kind of why I'm walking through your career with the mental grind of being through the minor leagues and even going through being a freshman at SC and getting beat up by Gillespie and all these lessons. And you get to the big league and you're saying it's really about your routine. There's so much chaos and so much stuff that you could focus on, but if you keep it simple, it all starts there and it builds your foundation. And I love hearing that. So your routine got you through. Tell us a little bit about that World Series with the Phillies. You came up with a huge hit when you moved on to the Phillies after 8 or 9, 10 years. Something like that. Remind me what.
Yeah, so I was in Milwaukee. I signed actually in '95, and I played 2.5 years, I think, in the minors, and then 10 years in the big leagues with them. And then became a free agent, and it was actually going to be between San Diego and Philly. And San Diego actually offered me a 2-year deal, a larger 1-year deal, and Philly offered me a smaller 2-year deal. But when I looked at the lineup, I was like, man, I'm probably not going to play as much in Philly, but at this point in my career, I'm like, man, do I want to play every day? Of course I do, but I want to win it. I want to win. Like I've been a part of these 100 lost teams in Milwaukee, and those take a toll on you, especially when you're the guy that's having to talk to the media every day and give them the company line, like, yeah, we're working hard. Yeah, and it's just
toughness again. I mean, talk about dealing with failure and rejection, and being on a team that's losing, it's as tough as it gets.
Big time. And it definitely eats at you. And because you do want to win and you feel like, you're getting paid, salary to do a job. And when eventually when the fans start booing and they're not happy, you're not happy. You're not sleeping well. Food doesn't taste as good. The flights aren't as good. Everything about it is just about the job. And I know that sounds funny because everybody that listens is like, well, you're a major leaguer. Like there's no way. It's got to be fun every day. Yeah, it's absolutely fun every day, except when you're losing. Because we have feelings too, and we want to win. Yeah. So going back to the decision of going to Philly, for me, it was pretty easy when I looked at the lineup. I'm like, wow, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard. I mean, then we signed Pedro Feliz and myself, free agent. We got Jason Worth, Shane Victorino, Pat Burrell, and Ruiz behind the plate. Chooch Ruiz was just an amazing hitter for us as well. So I was Oh, stacked, dude. It was
launch angle galore. Everybody was just jacking the ball.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that is a tough place to play because we clinched the division, the East, with like 9 or 10 games to go, and 2 days later we give the regulars a day off, and then the next day Ryan Howard hit like 43 homers and drove in like 130 RBIs, and he struck out 5 times in the game. This is after clinching the division, and the Philly fans are booing him relentlessly.
Oh God,
the division we're going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
what you get
anyway,
as a big leaguer.
it's a tough town, but I'll tell you what, going through that whole process of, for myself, and this is a great life lesson too. I was an everyday player my whole career.
Sure.
I platoon with Jason Worth in right field, and we had such a great relationship. I'd play against the lefties, he'd play against the righties. Then toward the end of the season, I'm facing Greg Maddux with about a month, 5 weeks left in the season, and I hit a little dribbler back to the mound, and I'm going as hard as I can, and I kind of tweak my groin, so I got to go on the DL with 5 weeks left, and that's a couple weeks on the DL. So while I was on the DL, Jason was just hitting amazing. I mean, he's just stealing bases, hitting homers, doubles. He's probably almost the best player on the team during the period. So Charlie Manuel calls me in the office and says, "Hey son, this Worth, he's playing pretty good, and I think I might need to play him more." And I go, "Well, hey Chuck, I've had my run. I want to be here for the team, and just know that I'm ready. But listen, if that's best for the team, then by all means, he's playing his butt off. Like, let him play." So, and that was a really tough thing for me to do because your ego is like, God, I'm good enough. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'm coming off the DL, but he was playing that good, and it was just, I mentally felt like it was the right thing to do at the right time. So we go into the postseason, and I'm on the bench. He's playing all the time, and I'm a cheerleader on the bench. We had the best time ever. Broxton hitting the homer off Stairs hitting the homer off Broxton for us to basically go to the World Series. And so I had a lot of fun taking on that role. But the best part and the most rewarding part was when I finally got my chance and I came through in Game 5 of the World Series with that double. If you ever see the highlight, I mean, I go nuts. And
that's what I want to hear. Walk us through that. You've been, like you said, being a cheerleader for the first time in your career, for sitting there, and now it's the World Series. Walk us through that game and that moment. I want to hear it.
So if you ever watched that 2008 series, we had a 48, well, almost a 72-hour rain delay, and they didn't postpone the game. They basically stopped it at 1-1. The Rays tied it in the 6th inning. So we're coming to bat in the bottom of the 6th, almost 3 days later.
3 days later.
3 days later, and it's the pitcher spots up, so they're going to pinch hit one of us lefties, and it was me, Greg Dobbs, or Matt Stairs. And Charlie didn't tell us throughout the whole 3 days, and so I mean, we're taking like thousands of swings, like just this is what you've worked your whole life for. This one bat. So finally, 10 minutes before the game, Charlie comes up to me, goes, "All right, son, you hitting? Let's go." And so I go on deck and I just kind of like, I'm taking it all in. I mean, you've got basically 50,000 people waving these white hankies, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is everything you did from day one when you started playing football all the way up till now is like, here it is. Here's your moment. And I'm shaking in my cleats. I'm not like scared, but I'm nervous scared. And Jimmy Rollins is out there on deck, our leadoff guy, and he can see something, he's just like I needed a calming sense. And Jimmy goes, "Hey man, just relax and go back to Little League right now. Relax. Wow. Go have fun." Seriously, those were his exact words. And this calmness came about me that I just was like, let's go. And so I go up there, hit a 3-2 pitch off a ground ball 4 into the gap, get on second base. Jimmy bunts me over. Worth singles me in, and we end up going on to victory, celebrating. But just an awesome story of like, hey, you were the guy. And so that's a great lesson for all these young kids. Like, hey, sometimes you're the guy and sometimes you're not the guy, but that doesn't mean you change who you are as a player. You still have to be the same good teammate and just wait for your opportunity and come through.
Just as important, and especially how that translates into succeeding in life after baseball. It's not, you got to be a good teammate. You got to be able to deal with that adversity. And that is such a great example of you playing a role that you never played your whole career. You were never on the bench behind anybody. And now here's your opportunity. We're going to put you back in on the biggest stage of this biggest possible stage in the world, on the World Series. And here you go. And, and then the Jimmy Rollins keeping you calm mentally, just that little word of advice. I mean, these are just such great nuggets and lessons in life. I love it. So you've now been retired. Tell me a little bit about, and you could go back to your career, but even now, life as a dad, as a husband, as a businessman, as a player. How do you balance it all? We love talking to people about trying to do it all, and it's impossible to do it all at all the time.
Yeah.
But how do you balance, and what is your perspective on that?
Well, I'll tell you what, the first couple of years out of the game, out of any sport, and you talk to ex-athletes, is the toughest because,
Right.
There's just very few guys that have a platform, have something set up for them to get going on something else. And I will say, you go through a period of time where you're like, oh gosh, oh my God. And when the music stops, it's like, it stops. And it's like immediate. And you're like, oh my gosh. So my routine's gone. That whole thing's done. So I think the first thing you have to do is find out kind of like, God, can you find a passion in something you really like to do, and take the money out of the equation? Unless, of course, money needs to be a part of the equation. If you can take that out, where you don't need to make top dollar something, and you just get to do something you really love, find that. So I was really struggling with that. I was going to open up a baseball facility and do all these things, but it just really never came about that was something I really got into. I would help kids on the side, but so finally I was working out, this and that, and I found this F45 concept. Yeah. And that's where it really kind of, as a baseball player, we always had trainers, and we never went to a big box gym and did 3 sets of that or 2 sets of that. You were told go do that. So for me, it was perfect to show up at this facility, 45-minute workout, in and out, get your workout done. And then one day we just decided to invest in it. And it's been very, eye-opening to run a business, but at the same time, from learning from some little mistakes, from everything from the build out to hiring and all this other stuff. But now, because we do have some structure set up for it, and it is kind of running itself now, it's been really rewarding to say wow, I did something different in life. And in a weird way, it's more rewarding because it's just something different. It was outside my comfort zone, and something that I never thought I would be able to do or be successful in is run a business or have something like a training facility. So I would say the most important thing is for the ex-athlete to find something you really like doing. And it could be whatever you did, if you went to college and whatever your major was, and whether it's communications or business or whatever you may be doing, you go off into broadcasting, you go off and doing whatever, but find something you really like doing and just kind of make sure you do something. Because I sat around the house for a while and I was like, all right, I'm playing fantasy football and doing all these other things. And it just, you got to have, there has to be something that, when you meet with people, you're like, you can put your name on something. And it is, you can obviously say that you're a baseball player, an ex-baseball player, but to be able to say you're doing something else, people have great respect for that. The fact that you're grinding and trying to do something else.
Yeah, amazing. So life after baseball is, after any sport, is such a big transition. You hear that a lot, but what people do also say is that you bring the lessons with you, the mindset, the routine, all these things we've talked about are what translates into having a productive, successful life, whether it's any business or parenting or all of it, because it's a lot. I know going through the parenting craziness of what we're doing, especially now with Zoom school. It's challenging. So we got to rely on these lessons we've learned along the way. Well, look, you've been awesome sharing some time with us. It's so good to see you. But any other fun stories or, nuggets of wisdom you want to share with us? And, next time maybe we'll get your boy Booty on here too. Talk about
that would be awesome. Yeah, I could Zoom bomb him. But yeah, no, I would just say, just kind of piggybacking what you were talking about with the children. My kids didn't really get to see me play. They were born. Matter of fact, Justice, that was another story. Justice was actually born the night before we beat the Dodgers to go to the World Series, believe it or not, in Huntington Hospital. My wife went into labor after we were walking around SC for the day. So that was a different story. But what I would say is it is hard as an ex-athlete and as a dad to, if my kids watched me play baseball and they saw me break bones and they saw me bleed and they saw me sweat and they saw me have long days and they saw me have slumps and they saw me have success, and they saw all these like recurring things happen, they could apply that to, moving forward now through middle school and eventually through high school. But I don't have the luxury of, I can show them highlights and this and that, but they never saw me put the time in and the work and how hard I really worked on it. So that's the other thing about having something else that I'm doing. I come home and I'm sweating and I'm trying to show them that, life is going to throw you curveballs and changeups, and you can't just walk through it. Nobody's going to give you anything. You have to take it in life, and you have to go out and work your tail off. And if you work harder than the person next to you, then you should you should do better and have a better lifestyle. I mean, that's at the core of everything. That's what we're working for, is we want a better life, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I try to talk to them about being leaders instead of followers. In school, you have all these kids that want to cause trouble and this and that, and you have to make decisions about leading and pulling your friends away from that, or you can follow and make bad decisions. And so as a parent, those are the toughest things. Being a parent is tougher than any baseball game I've ever played in. And especially right now with the homeschooling, it just sucks. So yeah, it's bad. So that, I would say that's probably one of the biggest life lessons that I'm currently going through right now, is how can I make my kids understand that they got to have routine and they have to grind when they just see me at the house all the time. It's tough.
It is tough. And I think that's another thing we always talk about. I interview and discuss people that are successful in life, but the hard work, no one sees the hard work. No one sees the bloody hands, the hundreds and hundreds and thousands of swings and the running and the summer heat. No one sees all that. And I think that's an important thing, that if you're not going to put in that work and that effort, then you can't expect to be elite at anything you do. You got to grind, you got to be mentally tough, and you got to put in day-to-day work, day to day to day. And a little bit improvement, a little bit every day is what I always try to tell my kids. And it's very hard today in this era of Zoom and video games and tech. And, it's a hard thing to try to coach and parent. And, it's different, it's a different time. And, it is what it is. We as parents have to evolve with the times and figure out an angle to get through to these kids and to try to teach them the basic fundamentals, because the values and the fundamentals of life remain the same. Doesn't matter if you're in the tech age or you're in the industrial age, working hard, routines, discipline, mental toughness, those things are foolproof. That's what it takes.
Exactly.
So, you touched on a lot of these things.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
Anything else you want to give a shout out to anybody there?
You know what? SC was such a great place to play, just kind of finishing on that. Coach Gillespie was such an amazing person. And he was such an influential person in my life. And I call him, other than my father and my brother and mother, whatever, but he probably was the most important coach in my life. There may have been a coach that helped me, with my swing or a little bit this or that, a little bit more. But as far as learning how to become a man, and going from a boy to a man, and that basically most college situations do that to a high school kid. But I'm just saying, for the time and place, for the person that he was, and for what he did for me mentally, and just overall, just almost being kind of a dad away from home. It makes me emotional, because he's just such an awesome dude, and I really miss him. And he just gave so much to the collegiate level. We lost a great one. He really is special.
He really did groom a lot of us, a lot of leaders, a lot of successful people, and all the things we're talking about. He was pushing all that. I had felt the same way about Gillespie, and for me, Frank Cruz, because I had that starting in high school, and it sort of just went all the way through. But the lessons I've learned from those guys are that you take it for the rest of your life, and they're grateful for that. But that's a wonderful way to end, man. It's always good to see you. Next time I'm in Arizona, I'd like to jump in that pool. You come anytime you're in the hills, you got to come see your boy.
I love it, man. I appreciate the time. I mean, thanks for having me, man. It was really great catching up, and let's do it again.
Do it again soon. Get your boy Booney and whoever else, and we'll get them all on. We'll have some good SC stories to tell.
All right.
Thanks. Great to see you, man. Fight on, baby.
Man. Fight on, baby.
Talk to you soon, brother.
Hey, I gotta thank my boy Jenks, Geoff Jenkins, such a cool dude, for stopping by, chopping it up, giving us the breakdown of what's really going on in World Series week. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. You can always find us at The Deal Pod on Instagram or thedealpod.com. Please give us a 5-star review and a comment. Each one helps tremendously, so we really appreciate it. Season 3 is off with a boom, and again, thanks my boy, SC boy, Geoff Jenkins, for coming in, and look forward to more episodes coming soon. Go Dodgers!
I am what I am today.